Welcome to our continued coverage here on the fourth period of the NHL Trade Deadline, presented to you, of course, by our good friends over at CCM Hockey. That's Dennis Bernstein, Aaron Ward, Shane Kelly. I'm Dave Pagnotta. And gentlemen, wasn't exactly a groundbreaking roster move by any stretch. It wasn't a roster move at all for the New Jersey Devils. In fact, it was a coaching change. Lindy Ruff is out. Travis Green takes over as interim coach, and they still have the same roster they did 24 hours ago. This team, guys, and Eduardo, we'll start with you. They make a change off the ice, but we all know they need to make changes on the ice. What's next for this group? What do they need to do?
I'm actually glad my eyebrows came down from the shock of this was the move they made. My eyebrows came down in time to do this hit because, deciding to fire your coach with 3 games left before the trade deadline. Oh, you're about to play the Florida Panthers. Good luck with that. You're going to try and play the long game in 3 days coming up at the trade deadline, guessing on where this maybe rebound from a new coach may happen for you. Having known that your goaltending was less than good, and then last year, marginal, back to less than good, you've been missing Dougie Hamilton and other components of your D end, and this is the choice you made. I'm just baffled that management has known all of these entities have existed within the organization for this long, and they waited this long, and this was the choice they made. I'm baffled.
Shane, just before you jump in, what do you say, and Wardo, DB, you can jump in too afterwards,
Sure.
but what do you say to the fans that say, well, this was needed. Lindy hadn't done anything. He was playing Holtz on the fourth line and this, that, and the other. We know that there are roster deficiencies. There's only so much the coach can do with what he has, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit chicken and the egg. So I think you could make the argument that this team could have switched up the way it played slightly once they knew that there was going to be a problem in net and Hamilton was going to be out long term. Lindy Ruff has played basically the same system he did last year, and it worked incredibly well last year. It's worked less well this year, and what it's done is it puts a lot of pressure on your defenseman because you're carrying the puck a lot across the blue line, which leads to a lot of turnovers. When you've got Dougie Hamilton and good goaltending, that's not a problem. When those guys are gone, I think it's fair to question why Ruff didn't really adjust what he was doing. That said, this is a team that in 21-22 had the worst goaltending in the NHL. Without a ton of changes, they were slightly above league average last year, about 13th, and they've regressed this year to about 20th. So I think it's fair, as Aaron said, to say a lot of this probably falls on the construction of the organization. However, I would say at this point, this season's gone. They can really only afford to lose 5 more games all season. So fire the coach, keep the coach, trade for somebody, don't trade for somebody. They should be looking forward to next season.
And on the coaching change, look, here are the facts that would support the coaching change, right? 6 coaching changes this year. Edmonton, LA, St. Louis, Minnesota, Ottawa, the Islanders. Ottawa and Islanders, marginal improvement. The other 4 teams improved. So you got that. They've been under 500 the Devils since January 1. But Dave, someday, I'm not sure when, Tom Fitzgerald will trade for a goaltender. Not today, but someday he will.
100% agree.
And he won't mortgage the future. So, yes, you're not cheating Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier for a goaltender. But will you please trade for a goaltender at some point? I don't know when, but it's not today, which is real. To Warder's point, it's disappointing of the lack of movement. If you made moves and the team was still playing this way, then, yeah, you would say, okay, 100% on. And Shane's right about the, moving around players and playing Holtz on the fourth line. But damn it, you got to support your coach sometimes before you pull the trigger on this. But, the numbers, when you look at the coaching changes, there's been a positive bump in all these teams.
Lindy Ruff cannot stop a puck for this team. The system he has set in place for the style of this team is it's run and gun. They possess the puck, they go. Yep. Everybody was enamored how great they were last year. They don't possess the defenseman to be able to play that style. And if you're a forward, you can't fully commit to play that style if you're picking the puck out of your net. That's the story for Jersey.
Yep. Well, again, to Shane's point, chicken and the egg, catch 22, whatever you want to call it. The assets weren't there, and clearly the adjustments weren't there either. And maybe the adjustments weren't there because there was that lack of, talent that could support the system that was in place. We got to figure out or we will see what they figure out moving forward. Tom Fitzgerald earlier today mentioning that they'd like to sign Tyler Toffoli. There's a difference on term. Doesn't sound like they may be able to get a deal done by Friday. But that's why he's also listening to teams. And there are teams like Vegas and Colorado and Carolina and a few others that have interest in Tyler Toffoli. I know you want to go to Carolina, Wardo.
No, I want Toffoli to go to LA Kings.
Oh, well, he would probably like to go there too,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, they don't have the cap space right now to support that. But let's shift to your backyard, Wardo. Let's talk about the Carolina Hurricanes. They are actively looking to upgrade their offense. They're looking to upgrade their forward core and add somebody to this mix. Is that the right move for them?
I think it is because what we know about the Carolina Hurricanes for the last 5 years in the playoffs, it's almost a repeat of Jersey. They've known one of the problems that exists is they don't have goaltending. So now you got the four-headed monster back there, and you don't even know who's healthy, who's ready, who's mentally prepared to play, who's coming, who's going. So leave that aside. We don't know that. I would put all my money on the D-core in Carolina. I love them, and I know they're talking about moving D'Angelo, but what remains is great. What still exists, which was almost glaringly a problem when they saw Svechnikov go down last year, is they lack depth up front. Specifically, outside of Aho and Teravainen, they need something else in that lineup to either be a catalyst to create offense or to have that element of, and I would use this guy as an idea, and I'm not suggesting you go there, but like an Anderson, a guy that's got some grit in his game, some offense to his game, and he's got the ability to play the style because he can skate. They don't have, outside of Stahl, they don't really have a bigger body player that when you need the depth and you need that presence in the lineup, it's got to happen. Here's the problem. They might have cap space, but notoriously, they're not a spending team. So whatever player Tolsky decides is going to fit in this lineup for the Carolina Hurricanes, he's got to know that it's going to be a stopgap for this team where they've failed in years past.
No,
Whatever player Tulski decides.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Well, we all know that there's an element of the fit going through his desk or across his desk.
There's a collective unit running that club.
Do they have a scary goal scorer other than Svechnikov? No. Do they have physical presence? No. But here's what they have, though. Wait a minute. They've got, if Jesper Fast would score 4 goals in the last 21 games, they could have 12 forwards with double-digit scoring because Jury's got 8 goals and Stahl's got 8 goals. You think they're going to get to 10. That's a really balanced team. So do I think they could get through the East with that balance? No team's more balanced than that. If you have 11 goal scorers that are double figures, that's really good. Now, yeah, I get it. Maybe they're not the most scariest team, but damn it, if you shut down, Aho and Svechnikov, they can hurt you in other ways.
Yeah, if I lost 10 pounds, I'd be a spokesmodel. Here's the problem.
Balance. The guys got guys producing. You don't have guys with 3 goals on the bottom 6.
They still lack. If you watch this team, there's something that's still there in Carolina has pre-existed. If you can shut down one element of the way they play, you can hear Roddy frustrated at times when he addresses the play of his team because he knows that internally within the system and the lineup, they still lack something. And what that something is, I don't know because clearly I'm on this side of the camera. I'm not in the locker room, but they still, from watching this group, it's glaringly obvious coming into the playoffs. The bar set at Florida and New York, there's a bigger gap when you fall down to Carolina currently.
There's a lack of that last minute fire, that last minute finish that other than Svechnikov right now they don't seem to have, and which is one of the reasons why I guess Tulsky and Waddell and Dundon and everybody there are looking to add somebody up front to that group. There have been discussions about Gensel. There have been discussions about Tarasenko. But as Wardo mentioned, the rental game is not one that they typically get into, not just financially, but also asset-wise. So I'm curious to see how they kind of approach this deadline over these next 3 days in trying to add up front. And some quick updates there. I mentioned Vladimir Tarasenko. There were some reports that he may be looking for a contract extension with whichever team he decides to waive to. I reached out to his camp about that. That's just not true. So he's looking to chase a championship with another club. He's willing to waive for another club. It's not dependent on an extension being put in place. Some other quick updates before we move to Vegas. We're going to touch on the Golden Knights in just a second. Another team looking for offense. But some house cleaning, I guess, to a certain extent. We mentioned with Dennis yesterday, Los Angeles and Matt Roy, and them pushing conversations until the end of the season. There's a player that's being dangled right now, Artie Kaliev, that my understanding, the more likelihood of him being traded is the offseason. They may package him in a move to either address the goaltending or further address the defensive core. So that might be something to look at in the offseason for them. And another team that's dangling a piece And I know what you're going to say. Nobody knows what Lou is doing. Track record
Nobody.
may suggest otherwise. But there is one piece that they are dangling on the island. That is Oliver Wahlstrom. According to a couple of people very close to the organization and around the league, he is a piece that they are looking to move if they bring in somebody with term. This isn't a rental situation for the New York Islanders. If they can bring somebody up front to upgrade their scoring and has term on their deal, Oliver Wahlstrom is a piece that they're willing to part with. Gentlemen, Vegas, the Golden Knights, 500 after the first 12 games of the season. Mark Stone is done until what presumably looks like May. Jack Eichel is back, but they get shellacked 6-3 by Columbus last night. What does this team need to do?
I think the struggle right now for me when I look at this Vegas team is continuity. That they've endured so many injuries and an inconsistent lineup. Like a lot of their guys in the A have gotten an audition in the National Hockey League. And I would tell you that, yeah, that's part of the journey of going to the Stanley Cup. Maybe good that some of the guys will come back into the playoffs with their tanks half full. They won't be depleted. But I don't believe, given the fact that the competitive balance in the West is starting to shift towards like 2 or 3 selective teams. I don't know if I mean, clearly Vegas looks like they're going to be able to get themselves into the playoffs, but to create a disruption, to recreate their path last year, I'm not buying that right now.
Yeah, their transition game has just fallen apart. They can't enter the zone like they could previous years, and they're not defending exits or entries all that well. And that's been a hallmark of this team their entire existence has been they've been incredible at dominating the blue lines. It's how they won a cup last year. And so I can see the logic for getting a forward. My question is who is available, who's got that skill set? Like there's not a ton of guys who you can see playing in this team in the playoffs if Stone comes back, who are also incredible transition players. Like usually the guys that move are kind of more third line type guys who are very good forecheckers. Their forechecks have never been incredible. It's not really something they emphasize. So I'll be curious to see what they do there. But yeah, they need something to help transition, whether it's offense or defense. Like an offensive or defensive forward. The numbers do not like this team anymore.
Well, it seems like they're more focused on, at least that's what part of them are putting out, and other people are reporting as well, that it's guys like Gensel and Bushnevich that they're after and pursuing, Petrano and even Henrique. Are those the right moves, or is it offense, or is it more on the defensive side up front?
I think that here's the thing, right? Are you worried about this team making the playoffs? No. Are you worried about them winning a championship? Hell yeah. Like, but you're going to use that LTI money.
Are you worried about them winning a round?
Yeah, they got. Well, it depends.
Well,
if they drop to the wild card 2 and they play Winnipeg, who's the 1 seed right now, I'm not sure I'm picking Winnipeg, right? But here's the thing, right? 50 games, 50 points. That's what they've done in the last 50 games. That's not Vegas, right? But for me, yeah, you want to activate the LTIR, Dave, but patience. Let's see what this team looks like at game 82 when who's back and who's not back. Like, I can't tell you because I can't forecast like what's going to happen with this team. Fully healthy, I'm not worried about him. But right now, you got to worry because that's too long to play 500 hockey. And I get the injuries, but not every player was injured here, right? So it's concerning from a championship, defending your championship aspect.
My only motivating factor to say there'd be some confidence with Vegas is that perhaps with a veteran-laden team having gone through what they did last year, is they'll be able to change it mentally and be able to pick it up when it really matters come playoff time, and be able to come together. That this is just a process, the journey, get through the regular season, get to the playoffs, and we know what we're capable of because essentially it's the core group. And if you add, like if you can get one of, or maybe even, I don't know if you can fit 2 in, but one of those players you're talking about, it's a little bit of a psychological boost to reinforce the troops.
And if you get out of the first round, then you likely get Mark Stone back in the lineup as of now, providing there are no setbacks. So one step at a time, I guess, come game 83, and then kind of go from there. But clearly a lot going on here as we inch closer to the trade deadline itself, and a lot more to talk about here over the next few days. That's Dennis Bernstein, Aaron Ward, and Shane Kelly. I'm Dave Pagnotta. We'll catch you tomorrow.